So I want to talk about bowls today. I've got a whole selection of bowls here. A real simple one with a simple wood fire glaze. You can see the wads where it was used before. We've got a shadow, thin walls with visible throwing lines. Here's another one, a mass-produced one, where the throwing lines have been exaggerated a little bit more. The foot ring is really smooth. It was also wood-fired, it looks like, with wads underneath here. The trimming was done in an exaggerated swirl to match the trimming, to match the throwing lines around it. And then at the very end, when the rim was wet, they stuck a stick or something in there to make a chopstick rest. I have some more simple pieces. This is one that I bought from a potter. Small foot ring, high fire glaze, no throwing lines. The decoration is mostly done with the glaze on the interior and exterior. The rim is thicker than the wall is, making the bowl light and strong, so when it gets knocked around in the dishwasher, it doesn't break. Here's another one purchased from the artist, Angela Foley. This piece has a foot ring that you can see is cut down at an angle so that it's more subtle. It's a shallow foot ring. The bowl has been pinched when it was wet to pinch out of shape, and you can see the indents where her fingers went. There's a swirl in the bottom, and the rim gets thicker and also bends out a little bit. One disadvantage of this one, I've used it for a long time, and the glaze right along this raised edge is starting to chip a little bit from having other things set inside of it, other bowls rubbing around in there, and that's something you may want to be careful of if you expect your work to be used for a long time. Here's a large bowl of mine, shallow foot ring, high fired, visible throwing lines all the way around, and then a couple of different glazes dribbled or dipped in. A simple one here where the foot ring actually seems to blend into the pot. There's not a obvious transition. There's this smooth curve, and it matches the deep shape of the interior. Some slip or stain decoration. This is another mass-produced piece, and you can see the remnants of throwing lines. This piece wasn't thrown, but it references what was thrown. Exaggerated and somewhat tall foot ring that might be held like this to keep your hand away from the heat. And then the rim has been cut out for chopsticks. This piece here is, again, the foot is blended into the whole pot. You see it's a very curved, round interior, trimmed foot on the interior, and it's actually relatively deep. And then what they did was facet this exterior. So while it was probably leather hard, they took a loop tool of some sort and they sliced out chunks of the clay. So this piece was actually thrown relatively thickly, you can see by the rim, and then these faceted cuts were removed. Another simple one that has a similar glaze, I think by the same person, Ryan Myers. And you can see the glaze has highlighted the throwing lines on the interior. On the exterior, it's a wood-fired or salt-fired surface. Now I've got a couple unusual ones, a couple little ones with some decoration here. This one's just a very small bowl, but for such a small bowl, it's become more delicate. Here's another quite small bowl with a tall foot ring, and then these really large sprig additions. This one here has been pierced after it was thrown, and this is a berry bowl for washing berries. Notice the foot ring gets it up out of the water, and as you put the berries in here and rinse it, the water comes out of those holes. Here's a different variation of a berry bowl, where the bowl has had another bowl added to it, and you can see the throwing lines change on this. The decoration is done with slips and tape resist, and then of course that part has been pierced. And then the last little one I have to show is actually just quite a small bowl that's being used as a spoon rest. So the spoon sets in here. This edge has been turned into almost a pitcher spout. It's been bent down so that the spoon can rest in there when you're cooking, and I often leave this by the stove.